you left the rest of the way. Well, you didn't have the heart to tell him? Stage one winner. I did not. All right. I'll leave that for you next time. The stage one winner has not won since when? Last year. Whoops. The strength of community. The bonds we build should never be broken. Because it's that strength that finds the courage to make something good and truly great.
I've got moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now there's Sky Erasing. Things are getting clearer. I feel free. So damn my skin, yeah, that's all me. Nothing at me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is everything. Achieve clear skin with Sky Erasing. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin in 4 months. Of those, nearly 9 out of 10 sustained it through 1 year. And Sky Erasing is 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses. I see nothing in
Can hear you now.
Alright, so who should we get here?
Well, for the given moment, there's actually an order list in general, chat. So, in order with being Jack flagged it, I just like drag him in, so you don't have to worry much about it. If he starts.
And sorry for the delay. What am I supposed to do with shit that's out of my control?
That's all good, G. Well, hello, chat. Welcome to the third installment of the N4P podcast here with the N4P videos. Today's topic is actually topic in the title.
Well, I haven't put it. See, the topic will be about cut content and cancel games, but what I learned from the previous episode on the podcast of the N4P Need for Podcast is that we were pretty unprepared with the motorsports topic that we ended up switching with TDU Solar Crown, and I had that notion that today will also be that same will be the same thing as it was in the second episode. So that's why it's untitled as of right now, unless if everybody can stick to the main topic that everybody voted for on the voting poll that I posted yesterday as to what topic should we talk about, and the cut content and cancel games topic was the most voted out of the 3 options that I had. The other 2 being work stories and job experiences and motorsports again, but actually having a reason to talk about it as to our history with a certain motorsport series. How do we got into it, and why do we like it? And like mentioned earlier now, it might change, but actual topic is cut content and cancel games. Not just racing games, but any game. Doesn't matter what genre it is. And talking about interesting things of what could have been, this was supposed to happen, and or these games were going to happen but ended up being canceled because of whatever reason the publishers and or other companies said otherwise.
Right. Of course, to participate into the podcast itself, you join the Discord link is in the chat already. If not for the about section of the channel, if not for also the stream description. If you join, you just have to wait for the waiting room. That's where I get you the role, so you know if you just join here and just actually be part of the conversation for a brief moment.
And speaking of the link of the description of my Discord server, let me get that link really quick.
Ready?
That way it's a lot easier for anybody that's just, so used to going to the description of any video or live stream and just clicking anything or tapping on anything there.
Joshua is asking, how about you do a little bit of everything for Paul?
How about I what?
do a little bit of everything from the poll, like motorsports, the content, the drops, 3-in-1. I'd say for simplicity's sake, it's best the one.
Yeah, it's
not
just
only
best
one-
to talk about one topic and not, get twisted with 3 or more different topics and get lost in the way as to what we're gonna talk about. So it's just better to talk about one specific topic to keep consistency.
Taking advantage of that good pit stop, but also taking advantage of that car, how good it rolls around the outside.
And I'm also watching a NASCAR race simultaneously, so yeah, I know. Terrible timing. I should have done it a lot earlier, but I was out of the house, so it's either do two things at once, or I don't know what I will do.
Sure thing. Let's kind of start this with the whole cut content. Let's start with you.
I'll let you take over on this one, being the first.
Alrighty. For cut content, just per se itself, I noticed this noticed a couple days ago actually. About this weird sphere ball. That was kind of hitting the in-game code for Speed Carbon. It's technically cut content because it's not part of the game per se, but you can kind of mod its way in, and it takes it's technically a portion 9/11 that was supposed to be in the game, but ended up cutting out, and you can actually make it shaped into a portion 9/11 by adding customization bits, and technically it is the fastest car in the game without any mods. The only mod is just making sure the car it's drivable. Awkwardly enough, yeah. For unreleased games, not sure if anyone's really into Star Wars or anything, but there was this unreleased Star Wars game that was supposed to be a massive hit. I really don't know much about it, but that kind of had me stoked and disappointed for the sake that was never a thing.
If I'm not mistaken from my memory, I remember that there used to be this Lamborghini racing game. Think of it as an exclusive racing game from a certain manufacturer, like we've seen with Porsche Unleashed in 2000, or the Ford Racing series. Nothing but Fords. There was this certain Lamborghini game for the original Xbox that was supposed to come out in 2003, but I don't know why it didn't came out. It either could have been the budget was running out, or the developers and publishers were getting shut down. But let me try to look it up on my phone and see what more can I remember out of that.
Take time.
And also simultaneously trying to put the link in the description of my server, which I'm trying to do, but apparently the pages are being slow on my computer.
If you copy the actual link I have posted in the chat.
Doesn't let me copy, so oh well, it's getting pinned.
That also works.
You know what? I should have just done that. Pin it. That's a lot better. So yeah, if you want to join in our podcast, or my podcast I should say, there's a link of my Discord server where not only you can be part of the podcast, but also be part of my server. Just make sure you follow the rules. Trust me, follow the rules if you want to stick around, that is.
Got that right. We're kind of done with our part. Can we move in the remaining folks, or?
Bring in the people. Bring them in.
Gotcha.
If we have 2 spots open, apparently Prod isn't here, so we can get 2 people in.
Right, about 2 at once? Yeah, about Prod, he kind of excused for this moment. He's not exactly feeling the best.
Understandable.
It's just, you said 2 at once, or are you just gonna keep it to 1?
This time around, let's do 2. Since we got 2 spots open, and, we can get out to a lot of people a lot quicker.
Gotcha. Got Jack and Swag currently in the order.
You're in that order, get them in that order.
Gotcha. Welcome, boys. Okay, this is awkward. Both of them are muted at once. Swag, you have to unmute the mic for the moment.
Everyone.
Hello.
Welcome, Jack.
Hello,
There
hello,
you are,
hello.
boys.
What's good?
Welcome, welcome. Today's topic is about cut content on unreleased video games. What you
Oh,
guys
my
have in
mic's
mind?
on mute.
Well, I am sort of interested in it. Well, I don't
Aha!
know
Found
much
it.
about content, but damn, I really wish a lot of cars were in the games.
That's also kind of a hot topic there. Some cars being like cut out, either licensed or non-existent.
Yeah, I found it.
Like
Alright.
the street
A
version of
Lamborghini
the
was the
M3 and Most
Lamborghini
Wanted.
game that I mentioned earlier was supposed to be called Lamborghini, and it was gonna come out in 03, and I thought it was just for the original Xbox, but it was also gonna come out on the PS2. And the reason why it didn't came out is because of Rage Software going bankrupt back then. And fun fact, the development team that was supposed to, or that worked on Lamborghini, went on and created Juiced.
The hell?
You know, the game, the racing game series Juiced.
Yeah.
Well, what I do know is that I remember some games having cut content. Like Need for Speed Carbon did have some cut content, and with 2005. Remember how Cross is how the actual we actually saw this instead of the M3, we saw the Supra get totaled in like in one of them scenes, and Cross saying I can't remember what he said, but he did.
Like there was this scene where when he was about to leave on that prologue scene, right? Or in the beginning of the game on Carbon, right?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking
Right
about.
back.
There was a scene, and this is from the behind the scenes video of that EA put out back then in 06 for a collector's edition stuff, something like that. But there was this scene on behind the scenes that Cross accidentally went in reverse and then hit the M3, putting more damage into our car.
Super.
And then he looks back and says, "Oh, whoa, damn, my bad, Romeo." And then he just leaves.
But it looks like a Supra in that. Now, what I do want to know is how come in 2005?
See, from what I know is that it was actually supposed to be the M3, but because of time constraints and Blackbox's strict development cycle, remember, this is back then when EA had nobody but Blackbox to create games. Well, they had other smaller studios, but that's for different ports of a game that Blackbox was working on.
And kind of a different topic.
And they used that Supra as a placeholder.
I just want to know how come. Why in the
I'm gonna come back.
Why in the trailer of 2005? Cross has a different police rap than the one we see in the actual game.
Probably because they wanted to make it more appealing that he's actually a cop.
Now I do remember having Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010 did have a little bit of cut content. Remember how all the car sounds used to sound like the Porsche the Porsche Boxster Spider? I saw that in the video once in the cut content. I wonder why they decided to replace the sounds. Oh yeah, and they have had the missions that were not in the final game with one of their cars. Oh yeah, and some cars were not able to be painted like the Agera. Well, some cars were able to be painted like the Agera R. No, the Agera. It was yellow.
Just Agera.
When we saw that. Yeah.
Clarification, that's kind of not exactly cut content feature.
I mean, we did have some cut events, right?
From the original remastered, I hardly do know, not know any cut content per se.
Not
like,
the remastered
or cut events.
Then.
For the original, I cannot recall any. Maybe some people in chat would.
I mean, what can I say? I guess. Well, depending in the almost like most games, they had some. You know how we was able to play no, somebody was able to get the beta of 2012, like, with the M3. Now, what I saw in that video one time, what was half like maybe they didn't wasn't able to finish, so they just decided to make a new game. So since they just, I guess the game, no, it might be going off topic here. Let me not say it. Well, yeah, but
There, some recent musics did not like update the actual video upload. Strange enough.
true, yeah. But
Uh,
was half wrote
Now, the weird
Unreleased
thing is that, in Heat, we clearly saw a motorcycle light as day or dark as night, literally in front of our eyes, and people were having mixed feelings for seeing a motorcycle in a 25-year-old franchise back then. But then
yes, everybody
there were references of a Honda motorcycle in Carbon that was supposed to be in the game, but that never ended up being to be.
yeah. You see, because one of I remember one of I see they wanted motorcycles in their games. Wait, no, the players thought like maybe they're gonna add motorcycles in the future games. So that's why they had like mixed feelings. Players thought that EA was finna add no, Ghost was. I thought they thought Ghost was still gonna be around. Maybe
That was
they
Black
might
Box with the
add
motorcycles
motorcycles.
that started in Carbon. Ghost didn't even exist in the 2000s.
Yeah,
any unreleased games you had in mind, Swag? Any that you've heard of?
Edge, Need for Speed Edge. Now, Need for Speed Edge was supposed to come out in like 2015. It was a mix. Well, on the iOS version of that game, it looked like Need for Speed. What's that? The
NFSH came out in 16 and it was only going to be in the Asian market, Korean market. And its
it was
similar counterpart, coincidentally, or they just probably did it for the money, it looked like Need for Speed Rivals.
yeah, and in the iOS version, it looked like Need for Speed No Limits. With maybe
Technically, sorry for interrupting. Need for Speed Edge is supposed to be like actual free-to-play game exclusive to South Korea itself, and it's PC exclusive. On top of that, so it did release. But you say did they have any ideas to just actually implement them for the DS?
you see, I thought though, I think it was only supposed to be released in South Korea.
Yeah, it's a South Korean exclusive, pretty much a competitive game for those folks down there in the scene. And on top of that, it's like PC exclusive.
But if you had a VPN, wait, do VPNs work so you can still play Edge?
VPNs work, yes.
Yeah.
Instead, you're just be pulling a lot more internet connection because not only the servers are across the world for Swag, and you also just have to have a VPN, which means paying a membership just in order to play a game.
Luca, to answer your concern, that's no DLC for Undercover. Takedown is a 6-episode series. It's not a DLC.
To be honest, it's supposed to be
Yeah.
it's supposed to be like the app.
There's no
It's supposed to be like
there. I don't think there's ever been a story expansion for any Need for Speed game, unless if you want to consider Speedcross as an expansion to the storyline for Payback, or even the Eddie's Challenge as a story expansion for 2015. But other than that, there's no actual story expansion that happens after or during that affects the plot in a way.
It's supposed to be like an aftermath, like you know how you see in Mortal Kombat. It's supposed to be like an aftermath version of Undercover, like how they got hit their back.
Just remember this: it's not a DLC. Yes, it's connected with Undercover, like I mentioned, because it does have its moments and points in that 6-episode short series that it's connected to the main storyline of Undercover. But it's all because it was trying to advertise the 370.
It's a full-on promotion. Needs on 370Z.
Hey, you gotta make the best you can do with it. If EA were the first studio to get exclusive rights before anyone else.
But I saw you hear stuff in the background. There's a dog downstairs. I'm watching. It's going back to the. I'm sorry if you hear it so many times. Barking way too loud.
Now, back in alright, so since 2009, we were getting mobile versions of Need for Speed games that came out in that year. We had Shift in 09 for iOS. Yeah. Not Android because it wasn't that advanced back then, as far as I know. Then, in 2010, we did get Hot Pursuit 2010 for both systems.
2012.
And then 2012, we got Most Wanted 2012. And then 3 years down the line, No Limits exists. But then, what about 2013-14? Well, nothing happened those years. Yeah, Rivals happened, but that wasn't meant for phones. 2014 was just a movie. But 2011 is what I want to talk about. The Run came out that year. Yeah, Shift 2 came out as well, but I don't think there was anything significant if Shift 2 was going to come out for mobile, unless if I'm mistaken about that. But then The Run was supposed to have a mobile port.
iOS. Yeah, but it got canceled. So
this is why it got canceled, because of how bad The Run in 2011 as a game back then flopped. Not just critically with the community, but also financially.
To be honest, the game looks like, on the iOS version, the game looks like a mixture of Hot Pursuit mobile version and 2012. That's what it looked like to me when I saw the trailer of the game.
That's the best that they can build up from those assets. That's how they were able to make that game to be as it was before it got canned.
Yeah, it looks like it looked like it had the graphics. It had the graphics of Hot Pursuit mobile and 2012 mobile game.
Which is not terrible after all. It's a phone game.
Is it really a phone game?
What?
Never mind.
Well, the run version of for phones, having the same graphics as Hot Pursuit 2010. Guess what? You expected to have the same Frostbite 2 graphics on your phone, bro? You want that shit to melt?
Oh no, please. Just say, I thought you could still stick it to the whole combo on the edge, but right. Swag, you got some bits to say. You got 2 more people to just swing by it here.
All right. One more thing to say. I actually do have 2 more things. Maybe 1 more. Yeah. Actually, never mind. I don't have anything else to say.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
We're gonna move you back to we got 2 more people to swing by over
Alright,
here.
see you guys later.
Alrighty, next on the list is both M and Art. You and you. Welcome, boys.
Oh, hello there.
Welcome.
Art,
hello there.
Everyone.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, we're doing all right.
How are you?
We are doing great. If anything, today's topic is about counting unfinished video games.
And cancelled.
Anything that you can think of out of, not just in racing games, but also any genre, if you want to share with not just us, but also to everybody in the chat.
PS3. Cancelled PS3 games.
Oh, I can think of one right now.
Go ahead, Art.
Oh, hey, what's good? Okay, so, one card game that I've really been meaning to discuss, and probably not a lot of people probably remember this, it was a kart racing game. The very start of the PS3 era was Mod Nation Racers. That game, was originally the game that got me into cars, surprisingly or not. It wasn't the Underground games or anything. That was actually one of the first car games I had ever played. It was the first game I ever played. Yeah.
Why do I have the feeling it's the Crash Team Racing? Why do I have a feeling of that?
No.
Oh no, I never had that game.
Go ahead, Art.
Whoa! Someone just went on. It's not that significant.
What happened?
No, don't mind me. I'm watching a race at the same time while I'm doing this live stream.
So you're
Oh, yeah.
so you're watching both. So you're talking with us while watching Reyes.
Oh no, I don't mind. I don't
Go
know.
ahead.
But anyways,
go ahead.
like I was saying about Mod Nation, to me it was a really cool concept that I don't understand why Sony didn't just continue off of, because it was one of the only Sony games to ever have fully customizable characters. There was millions of customizations you can do, and while there wasn't actual like cars in the game, it was just carts. The carts were so customizable to where it was to me honestly, if imagine if it was something like if Need for Speed Heat were to be combined with like Mario Kart. That's just how wacky it was. It was so cool because not only that, they never had like fully licensed cars in the game, but they had cars in the game. Like they had a Skyline, they had a Nova in the game, a Chevelle, and stuff like that. And it was so cool. And then they had like wacky ideas like spaceships and all that. It was like a game to where even if you weren't in the cars, or if you were into cars,
You would still have fun.
it was a game that you could play for days on end. But the only issue with the game that I really didn't like was just load times. Like, it would take you, like, online lobbies-wise, like, around a solid 5 to 10 minutes to get a race started.
Be glad that it isn't.
That's nothing compared to GTA Online, so it's fine.
And also,
Be glad that is.
there's also low view count on the game itself because not really
Yeah,
seen
no.
constantly. And on top of that, I do remember like years ago, just like I remember seeing like a picture of the actual game itself. One of the cards they've keyed. It's an actual replica of an 8.6.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to process what is it? What was it again?
What,
I'm
Mod
really trying to
Nation?
process. What?
Wait, what were you trying to think of again?
No, that one game you guys are talking about. There's like
Mod Nation. Yeah.
Oh.
It was Mod Nation Racers. It was for the PS3, for the Wii, the PSP, and then a couple, like I want to say a year or two later, they released a version for the Vita, but it was called Road Trip. And it was essentially the exact same game, but without a storyline. And it was the exact same game, but no cutscenes.
Without a storyline.
No storyline. It was just tournament races. And no one played that game online at all. So it was just mostly an offline game. It was still fun though, essentially. I still have it till this day, but the servers are offline.
Dead.
So yeah.
So
that's
the content part of that game or any other game did mention.
I don't
yeah,
know.
But once again, it's just another forgotten treasure in Sony's toy box. So
even split second.
Really wish they made another game, but doesn't seem like that's ever gonna happen. So
there was even another one that was supposed. There was even a canceled sequel.
Yeah, there was.
We all know about the split. We all know about the split second sequel that was supposed to come, but Disney decided to become Disney.
That's what they get. They died a few years later.
That's what I was saying. Like, the game was popular in general for like
the game. Everyone loved the game. It was getting good reviews. It's just the sales were just slow.
Which I never understood that. Like, dude, even back then they had the Sony, like they had the PlayStation Store and all that. Regardless,
yeah,
you know. I mean, I guess it was just because a lot of people back then just weren't really fond of playing online and all that, but
or they didn't found a racing game like they were, and it was also could have been the day that it was released. See, May 2010, we also have Blur, but then there was also Red Dead Redemption in that month, and then people wanted to go in the Wild West, which that sold more. And
Yeah,
that
but
ultimately set the fate with not just Split Second, but also Blur.
yeah,
And
I
that also
mean,
goes as well with them competing with each other.
Blur went. Blur
which
was
that
just
I didn't
basically.
understand. I mean, because
Yeah.
if you think about it, like even if they were to compete with each other, like it wouldn't just completely split a fan base in half. Like there was a lot of people who were into kart racing games at that time and racing games in general. But I mean, there was like a lot of YouTubers back then that just weren't even aware of the game. Like a lot of people back then, like they saw the game, but they never tried out the game. You know, like here till this day, I barely see any gameplays of the game. I mean, apart from weird OCs, furries, just weird shit.
And to think about it, were
It's,
they for not just Blur, but also Split Second? Did they even market the game really well, or they just didn't even try?
I
I
don't
think
know,
there was an
honestly.
attempt made,
Because
but I don't even think it.
because here's a fun fact for me. When I first came to the U.S. almost 11 years ago, I remember seeing a trailer for Split Second on TV.
Oh,
how
really?
how the scene was set up? It was set in like a classroom. All right.
Yeah.
It had like a black and blue background, sort of, and then there was this guy with white hair teaching people about this and that, or what you should do and you shouldn't do, and then it shows scenes of the game, and then it ended at the end with Split Second, the cover, rated E10, I think it was rated E10,
Yeah, I
and
remember the commercial.
I don't
and then
remember
it
any
was
of that because I
available
never
for
got to see that.
the 360 and the PS3. That's what I remember back then.
I
Yeah,
honestly
but
wish I got Split Second.
I want to say it was mostly advertised, but it was like when it became available to consoles and when it eventually became available on Steam, like I remember like when it I want to say when it was available on Steam, it instantly died. Like no one was just interested in the game anymore. Like I want to say the console, like when it was just available on console, the fan base was stronger in that sense. But when it became available on like PC and all that, everyone was just like, "Oh well, this was fun, I guess."
Yep. And was also probably the time where Disney Interactive Studios was, if I'm correct, losing money.
Which is another thing I don't understand. I understand these studios like they didn't have the money to continue and all that. But it's like you look at companies nowadays, like you saw companies like Ghost, Criterion, and all that.
Or Rockstar.
Literally, it was like these fan bases just kept these studios going from going out of business. Compared to back then, it's like if you were to able get one good message out there, you could save a game. But it's like back then, it was like as soon as they introduced new ideas, like
That
when I was
whole
saying with
thing,
Mod Nation.
the previous idea, like the previous project would just fall down in shambles.
Yeah, like I mean with Mod Nation Racers and Blur, like it was like the idea was there, had unique customization, it was a unique idea, but it was like a spark of popularity that instantly died out, and till this day I have no reason why it just died out. One thing that I want to kind of blame it on is just YouTube commentary wasn't that popular back then. So it was like people like YouTube and Twitch. Well, Twitch didn't exist back then, but
I don't know
platforms
about
like
that.
that were the only way that could really keep a game alive. But it was like as soon as the popularity for that game died out, people just gave up on it entirely. So
Yeah,
It was very unfortunate too.
Fair.
yeah. And Split
yeah.
Second was doing so well that I wish that if I were back in that time where Split Second was becoming popular, I would have bought it with my, still to this day own my PS3 and possibly played it every single day. But instead, Disney saw that it's making them lose money, even though the game is becoming popular, and decided
I
to
guess.
shut down. Yeah, because I don't remember the name of the developers that made Split Second. They did say they were making a sequel, but Disney were still losing money, and they had to shut down, and they shut it down because he's losing money apparently.
Which, hey, let's face it. In this point, if Disney says they're losing money, they're lying. In this sense,
Severely. They're like known for making millions. For
I
just
mean,
making
dude, come
crap.
on.
More like
That's-
buying
that's-
every
That's the key
company
part.
that you know.
Exactly. Like they're like, oh, we don't have the money to back this up. Quick, buy that company before they start digging deeper.
It's it's basically like EA's business model.
Well, I guess you can say that whole ordeal was split second.
Yeah, split second decision of them shutting down a game that did really well critically, but then they just see it was gonna be a liability financially when in reality to them it's like losing like $3. My guy, come on. What is that gonna do financially?
Like,
Legit, and if I'm correct, they were also making. I don't think it was in 2010, but they were also making a game of Pirates of the Caribbean for PS3.
yeah, but it
yeah.
never made past the beta stage. I don't.
Because it got canceled. That's the thing. It was coming on PS3, but then it got canceled. I don't know what the reason is.
Because Jack Sparrow was still on cocaine at that time. Not gonna lie.
The thing is, you're not playing as Jack Sparrow in that game.
I don't care if I ain't playing as my boy with white dripping at his nose, then it's not my game.
Imagine if that game wasn't development
his jewelry be jangling and you can barely hear what he's saying because all his jewelry is just jangling in the microphone.
Imagine if that game was in development today and then got canceled because of Johnny Depp's controversies with his now ex-wife.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. How is he doing?
I've heard he's kind of on the losing side for the giving moment, but not sure how that's
Yeah.
Alright, so on Midnight Club there were gonna be certain cars. Well, most notably on 3 in LA, because those two were the only two that had real life cars.
Yeah.
On 3, there were supposed to be Mini Coopers in that game.
Which I would have liked. I would have been like, I'm in my
Mr.
mom's
B,
car.
Italian job?
Vroom, vroom.
Or Italian job.
Italian bean.
You get the... Yo, you got the
Italian
Union
bean.
Jack head? You got the Union Jack taillights? Oh, man.
And I believe there were also going to be some BMWs in that game as well.
Oh, what?
Like 2 of them.
Huh? Oh,
Only
yeah.
2? Bruh.
I mean,
BMW back then was hard to get.
I mean,
yeah. I mean, in this sense, yes.
I mean, think about it. It was hard to convince, it probably was hard for EA to convince BMW to be in Most Wanted.
It's kind of like the whole Toyota situation today, except BMW ended up being cool with it, and they're like, oh, well, okay, alright.
But it was still difficult. It was just 1, well, technically 2, if you want to count the Black Edition for Most Wanted, but difficult. But actually, there were going to be 4 BMWs in Most Wanted, but 2 of them got cut. And there were different versions of the same M3, E46.
Yeah.
Be the street version of the GTR.
And even Hondas were going to be in LA and Midnight Club 3, but this was with the police situation for them.
Oh, yeah, the whole... Which, hang on, no, hang on, don't talk about politics. Let's see, what else can we talk about?
Politics?
Wait, what?
No, because I'm not talking about no political discussions,
no.
okay?
I don't care about them, honestly.
Exactly, so don't bring it up.
That don't matter anyways, but that was their decision. It's like Toyota's decision now. Except Honda was still going to be in any game. They just didn't want any car with sirens.
Huh. Because it's like, when someone plays that game, when someone plays that game, it's you can hear like it's like Vietnam flashbacks. They're thinking of like the LAPD from like GTA. It's like stop breaking the law. asshole."
Stop right there, criminal scum! Basically like that.
Basically, or would have been like San Andreas cop style in a
Yeah.
way.
So, alright, Most Wanted 05 was supposed to have an airport, and it was cut sometime
Yep.
in the development, like very early on, probably. And there's
Yeah.
even some unused lines from Mia that says about going to the airport or mentioning the airport in general. Did that
Who knows,
airport, if
man?
I'm not,
Anyway,
correct me if I'm wrong, but did that airport made an appearance in Necrosmith World?
I want to say yeah, from what I can recall.
I've never played the world, so I don't know.
Because in World, they
I
connected both Pullman and Rockport, but then they probably added certain areas of those two maps into that game.
I want to say they did because looking back at it now, it was like the airport setup. It sort of looked like the one that they have in like Payback. Um, but it was like I can't really explain it. It's because it's been so long since I played World.
I have not experienced the world.
Well, I mean I played it, but it's been forever since I played it. Like I mean like a really long time. Like I want to say the last time I played it was like probably when I was like maybe not even like I want to say like 12 or
So you didn't play
14
the official
now.
servers back then.
Just when I was little
Yeah, I suppose like the official servers because like Need for Speed World
basically.
is back up. It just doesn't have to have like its own official service. It's just
Yeah.
run off by a third party per se. It's back not officially, but it's there for everyone.
Yeah, in this sense, yeah. Wait,
Joshua may be
hold
right.
on
You
one
can
second.
restore the cut content with mods. It's just not every like cut content itself can be like modded back into itself.
If you guys don't mind, I have to mute my mic just real quick. I'll still be listening, but I have to grab my charger because my mic's about to die for some
Go
reason.
ahead.
Hold on.
Huh.
It's like Joshua says here in the chat. Can restore some like cut content with mods and whatnot. The thing is, if it's like cut to the point where it's not like there's not much utility to it, then there's really much no point in bringing them up the way it is. Unless you were to do some extensive work to just try and make it into a useful like piece of content, bring it back in. And I'm actually surprised somebody disliked this stream.
Yeah, I agree with that in a sense. Which I don't know, man. Like I said, World is a blur to me. Like I remember there's some of the cars that used to be in the game, but
I
other
don't
than
remember
that,
what was like there, so I don't know what was like there, so yeah. Thing is, what was Terror 5 gonna be? Because that game was never talked about a lot.
Which game?
What game now?
Need for Speed Terror 5.
Oh,
You know,
Terror
that one
5.
game-
I remember it. I know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's that. It was apparently supposed to be like Watch Dogs, Need for Speed style. Apparently,
Before
Need for
Watch
Speed
Dogs.
with Watch Dogs. yeah, that one. But it was apparently connected to Carbon or something. I don't know, because I know not a lot of people never talked about that.
I thought it was connected to Undercover in any way.
Honestly, I really don't know, because that game is obscure and probably will never know what was it supposed to be. I mean, we know what it was supposed to be, but what was it meant to, what would the experience be like?
I can probably picture it like
they
this. Think of it like Watch Dogs, but then you also have probably the pursuit tech that we had in Hot Pursuit 2010 and Rivals in our possession. Then people will mess around with that shit, and then it will just be chaos. Not just to AI, not just to police, but also to any other player. Assuming if we were ever gonna play
Bro,
online in the free
wait,
open
it
world.
would have been like that one Fast and Furious scene where they hacked the cars. Where like you remember that? I forgot what Fast and Furious movie it was. Where like they hack all the cars and it was just like a tidal wave
The 8th
of just
movie.
cars.
Fast and Furious, Fate of the Furious you're talking about?
Yeah. Like that one scene where she tells that one guy to just do it. And then he
Hack 'em
hacks
all?
all the cars and you just see like thousands of cars just driving down like just one city block.
It's weird to
Yeah,
think
that
that movie's 4 years old now.
Just
Already jokes ago.
Right. We currently have like 4 other folks like waiting over there at the corner of the waiting room. Gal gonna stuff to say for the moment.
yeah, you can go ahead and bring him in. I gotta go anyways, so it's been nice talking with y'all.
Alright.
Likewise,
Terror
man.
5, what Terror 5 should have been. Hackage.
Yep.
Wait, no, what Terror 5
Watch
is.
Dogs, Need for Speed, aka
Watch Dogs before Watch Dogs.
let's see here. Would have been Driver San Francisco, except instead of manipulating cars with your mind, you would have been manipulating them with a computer. AKA if Fast and Furious Crossroads were a better game, AKA
Why does Crossroad exist?
Alright, well anyways, it's been nice talking with y'all. I'm out of ideas.
Need for
Alright,
Speed
bye.
Terror. Alright, my last one.
Bye,
Need for Speed
everybody
Terror
on stream.
5.
You're
Bye,
basically
everybody
a god
on
in
stream.
Cyber San Francisco.
Hackerman, basically.
Alright,
It
Burnout.
was Oh, Burnout, yes, the game I have yet to experience.
That
Thank you.
damn racetrack in Paradise.
Oh yeah, the racetrack. I only know about it because gameplay.
Right. You still have some more bits to say before we move to other people.
Hackerman.
Is that all? Alrighty.
Yeah, on Terror 5. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, you're
That's it.
terrified. Alright, we get it. Alright, calm down.
Alright. See you.
Alright.
Well, next up on the list, let me eat M&R from the order list. We got Pink and Fun V for the given moment. Just welcome.
And the timer reads 20 minutes left for the hour live stream. Time limited. I'm trying to reach here. Well, technically it's gonna be over an hour, but whatever that happened on the beginning doesn't count.
Alrighty. Double time. Let's bring Cabriolet and Fun V into the. Right. Alrighty, welcome, guys. To the
Should we probably talk about that one canceled Crash game?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know much about it, even though there was gonna be another Crash game back in 2010, but it was also canceled until they brought back in Skylanders Imaginations or whatever that game was called.
I'm just looking at the waiting room right now. Hopefully we can get to Awesome Man in time, unlike last time.
Jesus Christ, it's the grenade
the
thing.
race
I'm sorry, I'm
the Crash racing game that I mentioned was way before Nitro Field.
Alrighty, good stuff. Any content for some games you guys have in mind?
Say what?
Today's current topic about the podcast is cut content and unfinished games. You guys have any in mind?
First game that comes to mind is Carbon. Carbon has a shitload of cut content. It's insane.
Go ahead.
Damn, shit, it could compete with Most Wanted 2012.
For real.
Yeah.
I mean, the beginning of the podcast.
Dude, basically, even Repo Man. You hear of Need for Speed Repo Man?
Repo Man?
Say I have heard
I don't think I recall.
Yeah, it was a
hearing
bunch. It's a bunch of freaking concept art, really, and a lot of, descriptions about the game that exist in, like, archives or whatever. And it was never released, but... How do I explain this? Bloody hell.
When was Need for Speed Repo Man even conceptualized?
Around the same time before Carbon released. Around the same time when the first Undercover concept arts were getting released.
Yeah, around those six.
I think I'm starting to get memories of what you're talking about. Because I believe it happened not just during Carbon's development, but also during Most Wanted's development in 04, if I'm not mistaken.
Dude, there was a bunch of cut Need for Speed games that just seemed, honestly, just in a weird way interesting, but also just straight up weird. I mean,
what about
there was this
course in NFS Nitro and DS?
Like, I can't remember exactly what it was called, but there was this concept for a Need for Speed game called. The concept was just like set in a post 9/11 city.
Yeah,
like, and
Terrified.
Racers were classified as terrorists. And it was like...
That's Need for Speed Terror 5 if you're confused, 7-6.
Terror 5, yes.
Alrighty.
And that's another one that never got released, but is just one of the many concepts that came out of Black Box.
A concept that they could have beat Ubisoft to creating Watch Dogs into a thing.
Sure, that like concepts, they're just like ideas that they come out of the blue, and what they do is like if they wanted to grab a concept turn to thing, then that's what they come in handy. So, alrighty. So happens that it kind of like blows my mind that that actual concept Terror 5 is what racing terrorists want on pretty crazy stuff.
Alright, so for 2015, would it be weird to have cars like the Fiat Punto in that game?
Probably. I mean, there was the Volvo 242 in that game, which in its own right is a piece of shit, but
NFS 2015, there were cut cars in that game, and I have a list here. We have...
Oh, I'd admit, there's a buttload of freaking cut content in NFS 2015. I mean, that game is like a quarter of what they wanted it to be.
We were gonna have, or we were supposed to have, the Continental, Bentley Continental. Only exists in the game files as the audio. For the Fiat Punto, only the audio files exist for that car. And let me see, we got other vehicles like... We also had other vehicles like the Fiesta Rally. Ken Block's Fiesta Rally. That would have been interesting. Not just the Hoonigan Mustang, but also the Fiesta Rally we were supposed to have, but that didn't end up being.
But I mean, one of the first things to go on that chopping block is always cars.
The Jaguar C75 was supposed to be in here. The Ford Model A Coupe, 1930 Model A. Let me see. The Subaru WRX, 2004 specifically. The McLaren MP412C.
I was getting in like everything. How did they not get it? Like what?
Toyota MR2. Audi A3. Pagani Zonda, not specifically which Zonda though. The TVR Sabera.
Dude, seeing a TVR in 2015 would have been bomb as hell. Almost everyone's forgotten about that bloody car company. It's a shame, really.
And a 1939 Ford two-door. Hell, even a Crown Victoria.
That would have been interesting to see if you could max it out and race it against some freaking
a BMW Z4. An actual Z4, not a convertible Toyota Supra, of course. This was before that Supra came. Alright, we should stop with those Supra jokes. I know we're bullying that thing too much.
So more content 2015. Still searching.
I'm still searching right now. Let me see. What else is noteworthy to mention? Let me see what else could be noteworthy to mention around here about 2015. There's a different HUD. Map navigation look different. We were supposed to have like a social media thing in the game as well.
That would have been interesting.
In where we can probably share videos in the game or even photos that we can take in the game.
It's like,
if they could integrate that into the campaign somehow, that probably would have been really, honestly, cool.
Okay, built an Instagram for the game itself.
Basically.
Pretty much, yeah. Theoretically, that would be pretty cool. Of course, almost all cut content sounds theoretically cool, but
yeah, like knowing how the community is supposed to be, has its own plugs and social media and whatnot. What really makes sense just have add that implementation to a game, the game where it's obviously centers around racing games itself, community media itself. So yeah, it's also a great way to share what else you got. Literally everyone playing it.
One of the biggest things about the real-life car community is the social media part. That's one thing Need for Speed's always tried to do with Underground, Most Wanted, Carbon, the Toge races. They've always tried to, at least Black Box, they've always tried to capture the feel of the car culture during that year.
Hold on.
And if they did that during 2015, that would have definitely solidified it as, probably a proper entry, because a lot of people don't really talk about 2015.
It has potential, but as you said, if they actually nailed it with the entry, capture the resemblance of what would actually be the car culture instead of being another game with a cheesy storyline or something, and that really could have captured it all and made it so much better.
Alright, I'm back.
If case if you did miss out, we were just pretty much saying that agreeing with the idea of social media stuff, social media feature in actual itself, because it does really emulate the feel of the actual content itself.
Going back to 2003 to Underground, one thing that you can say that Mini Club 3 and Underground 1 share is having a Mini Cooper that was cut in those two games.
The other thing you can share is being bored for the first 2 hours out of your bloody skull.
Maybe.
I swear, the opening hours of Underground are some of the most boring moments in video game history, I swear. They reused the same bloody track 5 bloody times. It's Jesus Christ.
Not only did he have nice writing.
And cars that, barely do 80 miles an hour. It's just... And, the first thing you unlock is visual parts. Playing that game now just makes me want to put a bullet through my brain, but... ultimately, especially once you get further into the game, it's probably one of the best in the series.
Could have done, it could have done also better for opening itself. But, they were kind of young back then, but it's still, the game succeeded massively.
Oh yeah, Underground Underground is one of the best-selling Need for Speed games to date.
Second best-selling behind Most Wanted.
I thought it was.
Well, of course, it was Most Wanted. Everybody had Most Wanted.
Underground 2 actually was considered third best. Underground 2.
What the hell?
It's changed the entire Underground area. Freaking Most Wanted, the 2 Underground games in Carbon are the ones that sold the best, and they never tried it again after for some reason.
It's weird that Carbon sold half of what Most Wanted sold.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the weird ones too. But you can definitely imagine it playing Carbon, because not during the beginning you don't really feel it, but in the last area of the game, fighting stacked and deck, for some reason the game feels empty. For some reason, there's content that should be there, but it's just not there. It feels like you're playing a shell. of a game. Because I
Would
mean,
it
the
be
first
weird?
three
Keep
areas,
going.
the first three areas, they feel great to race through. The eventual build up to the canyon races and all that, but racing stacked deck, it feels oddly purposeless for some reason. It just feels like it was completely unfinished, which I know is painfully obvious if you look at Carbon for more than like 5 minutes. That nothing in the game is pretty much really finished. There's a shitload of cut content, but I mean, like, the end of the game just doesn't feel like the end of the game. It feels like an afterthought. It just feels so empty to play.
Yeah. Alright, Underground.
That's why I couldn't bring myself to finish it recently.
Alright, Underground 2. I'm looking at the cut content in that game. Would it be weird to have a supercar in that game? Specifically a Ferrari 360 Medina.
Holy shit, an Underground 2? Couldn't imagine it.
Because from the videos that I'm looking from Grand Theft Auto, I don't even know if this man's still going to continue with that history of Burnout video. But looking back at those videos, I'm looking back at the cut content certain Need for Speed games had. And that's why I asked the question about the Ferrari 360, which only the audio files exist for that 360, even though it's the same audio as the alright save.
That's definitely a weird rotary replacing a freaking V12. That sounds sacrilegious.
I thought it had like a small V8.
It's a V8 for 360.
Oh, sorry. I assume V12 whenever I hear Ferrari, because so does Ferrari. They assume
like the
V12 the second they think of a new model.
It's Ferrari. What do you expect?
Exactly the way Enzo intended.
If they can't make a new bottle, they're too stubborn to even let people customize their own.
Yeah, it's a Ferrari exclusivity thing.
Honestly, I would prefer an Aston Martin or a frickin' Bentley over a Ferrari any day.
Yeah. Just here got some more stuff to say. Fun.
Oh, what about a Ford Bronco in Underground 2?
Right, just for like the rest of them.
I think Ford Bronco would have been cooler in Most Wanted. Hope you did get that reference.
Yeah.
Oh,
Holy
no.
shit, that was a bad
oh,
joke.
No, no. Alright, let's see. Who else do we got here in the waiting room? Oh my god.
The list itself for the people waiting. Still got Osman, Garmin, and probably Slick, because I see him in the waiting room streaming.
We should get Awesome Man in here. We gotta give him a chance after last time.
Alrighty. Welcome, Awesome Man. For once, you are actually in the podcast.
Oh,
with like almost 4.5 minutes to spare.
Okay, so I've got a topic for you that's related to cut content.
Sure.
All right.
Share with us.
Apparently, I saw a thumbnail of a green wide body Ford Mustang, not the one from the movie, like a custom wide body, and it was like in the Need for Speed Rivals Alpha.
Alpha?
Yeah.
Rivals.
Yes, there was an actual wide body, like almost similar to a Rocket Bunny, or that one kit from No Limit.
Basically a Pandem kit for a Mustang?
Yeah.
Pandem
Yeah.
or an RTR?
On a game that was like making like 9 months?
No, I believe that was like 7 years ago. Need for Speed Rivals.
Yeah, that game was like made in 9 months. Or somewhere around here.
9 months.
Bloody hell. I thought
'Cause
18 months was short.
Criterion was in it, but it was no game made by Ghost. But Criterion had it held because Ghost wasn't even established like it was back. Like it was. Let's say it was established like it was in Heat. As a whole studio. With a complete set of staff.
Hell, even Payback, they were sort of short-staffed.
But
Which,
at least they were
it
capable of
definitely
making
shows.
a game of their own.
why, but I feel like that Need for Speed Payback's graphics are not as good as I thought they would be.
Oh yeah, it definitely feels like a downgrade even from 2015.
Yeah, I saw a thumbnail that just said graphics unfinished.
Why don't you tone it down for us?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm
I
saying.
mean, honestly,
the
one of the
sacrifices
biggest
they had
things.
to make for that map of that game, or let alone having a legit day and night cycle.
hmm One of the things about these games, bloody hell, I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh,
Is their
the basically the direction that the world design goes into, you know? I mean, that's the reason why Palmont City from Carbon still feels absolutely beautiful to drive through. It's just the way it was designed, you know? The same reason a freaking painting can still look better than a picture can, in a way. And
Yeah.
one of the things is the art style for like 2015 and 2017, well, technically they're the same. I mean, there's a shitload of reused assets, and technically they're the same. They can't feel anything but different. Like, they feel more different than anything else. It's like night and day difference between the two games. Just the way the graphics feel in the game, you know?
Yeah.
I think it has to do with the day and night cycle, or is it just about the ambient around it?
I feel like it's more filters and just like the general design of the area, because Payback just takes place in like a desert, you know?
Yeah, except it kind of looks desaturated and bland.
Desaturated, bland state of Nevada.
I really wish that they had like a vivid retro color filter to it, like in Mad Max, where
Oh, that would have been cool for sure. Yeah, because Mad Max basically, like, some of the desert parts look straight up similar from the game and the Payback. They look
Yeah.
almost identical sometimes, the deserts.
I put on vivid
But
retro for the filters, and oh my god, does it look like the film? Orange sand and a blue sky, except with a little bit of yellowing.
I blame the VHS tapes for that.
Alright, Mazda Protege in Underground 2.
Underground 2, I wouldn't mind.
I have no idea what that is.
Was there going to be like a daytime mode in Need for Speed Underground 2?
You can check on the RL channel just for a look.
Alright.
That's the Mouse Project. I wouldn't mind.
Oh, there goes
Dude,
my
wasn't
timer.
didn't like the Hot Pursuit game in 2011 have like a scrapped customization system?
It's 2010.
Oh, I don't bloody get the dates right. Seriously, they release like 2 games every bloody year. You expect me to get the dates right?
You're,
I can't even name every
you're
single
just
one
starting
in
to
order.
scare us that they were releasing 3 games in the same year. Like, whoa!
all they
This is
ever
the Call of
do is
Duty.
just like back then they used to just like release games like 1 year, and then now just 2 years.
I mean, 2 years is a much better development cycle than 1.
Would it be better?
Yeah, but
They have a proper time for concepts
wait.
and ideas
Then
before they
explain
actually
think
why-
produce a
about
game.
think about
Then
all the
explain why-
shitload of
wait.
content out of the Black Box games. What do you think some of those things, or even most of them, never made it?
Wait.
I mean, hell, the original intention behind what Black Box was going to do, their plan was to make like an underground style customization game, and then a cop game, and then keep flipping between those two every year, so that they could flesh out properly the customization and the cop system, and make something like a total, basically stitch together those 2 parts and make a really good game, kind of like what Need for Speed Most Wanted, what they kind of wanted it to be, and then what Need for Speed Carbon really tried to be, but in the end was nowhere near.
Think of it something like if EA tried to do if they had different studios releasing 1 game every year, but they serve a different purpose. Or if you want a better
that was
example, think of it
that was
like
generally
1
what
year
Black Box was
with
trying to
Forza
do.
Motorsport,
talking
and then
about
another year
genres?
with Horizon. It's something like that.
Genre wise, or
More mechanics wise, really, just getting a chance to like flesh out mechanics one at a time, instead of having to like freaking split the
bye. See you
studio and
down
try
the
to work on
drain.
so many things.
You're about
Because
to get
again,
flushed
Black
away.
Box, especially around like the early 2000s, was still a small studio.
Go back to where
Like they
you
were
came.
making some AAA
back.
experiences for a massive company, and they weren't exactly too big themselves.
It's like, here, have a piece of our franchise. Try and do what you can. If you're not good enough, you're out of here.
That's basically the offer to everyone who has ever worked on Need for Speed. Bloody hell! I'm playing Call of Duty on Veteran, and a freaking 40 mil grenade just bounced off the car.
Ouch. Yeah. Oh wait. 5D's been quite a while. Still have to give like Garmin some space here. He wanted to like, join the podcast for like ever since the last three episodes.
I have to say, this is the longest I've ever been on to a podcast. Been featured onto a podcast. This is a new record.
This is the first time I've ever been on a podcast. I don't even know how I got in.
And
I actually moved you.
This was my first time going onto Discord, and I'm quite a noob. I don't even know how it works.
Well, you'll get the hang of it eventually. Guys.
More like you were just glad that this time you were not cut content on like the last podcast.
Yeah, that as well.
Jesus Christ, the grenade spamming is getting worse than World at War.
We're pretty much running on a short time here. Got some quick stuff to say before I like move Garmin in. Just give him a chance.
And then that'll
I can get.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can throw me out. I don't have much more to say other than like.
Me
words.
either.
Gotcha.
Alright.
See you on the flip side then. How about you, Awesome Man?
I don't have anything else to say. My brain's all dry. It's squeezed out.
Alrighty. Gonna toss you to the waiting room and let's bring Garmin in. Welcome for once, Garmin.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast. Today's topic is going to be about content and unfinished games. What you got?
Well, I have cut content from a game that was released but wasn't to our expectations. I am, of course, talking about Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012.
Now, out of the cut content that you've seen of that game, out of the multiple videos of the beta and things that were supposed to be in the game, what are your thoughts on them?
Well, the thing is, the one thing that I was eerily disappointed about was the fact that you were going to legit have an actual, you were still going to have the takedown missions, but the fact that, it was much different cars, like more realistically, because let's be honest, as you mentioned in your Everything But Most Wanted 2012 video, you mentioned you would gladly use the Roadster before the ZL1, correct?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Because why just, have the ZL1 in the first place just to get an Aston Martin and then get a Porsche? When you can just start doing things with the Camaro.
You go from something that's fairly slow in the game to something that's slightly faster and into something that's probably going to be really unobtainable in real life at the time. So because you start out with an M3 E92 in the betas, and then you have to take down the Evo 10, which is a lot more reasonable in my opinion. So the normal reasonable progression is something that I really wanted to see in the actual game.
And speaking of that Evo, there's even a scene of the same exact scene from that first Most Wanted racer. What we had in the final game with the 4C.
Because
there's an exact same scene with that Evo as well.
Yeah, I know, and when they mentioned, I was like, oh boy, this Evo race is going to be amazing, but then when I saw it was the Alpha instead, I was actually really disappointed, because I would rather race Evo than the Alpha.
Alright, hold on.
Alright.
Wait, let me just move in cabulate here. Kind of like that.
Hold on 1 second, your volume's kind of low for me.
Sorry for that.
Okay,
Right, Cabriolet, welcome back. I feel bad for, the power's just going off for you. You still had some stuff to say? Cabriolet?
So the reason why I left is because my
Yeah, you
lights
did say.
went out.
Your lights went out. You got stuff to say?
The lights went out. You forgot to pay the bill?
No, it's just went out in all the neighborhood because it was raining outside. I don't know what the hell happened.
Damn.
Brady, current topics about most wanted 2012 content. And from what I know, that was like supposed to be a Hummer H1 Alpha, just to come up with a game.
A G Grand Cherokee and a Corvette C2.
Yeah, you see those all in each of the trailers.
The artwork.
Yeah, you see both the artwork and you see a trailer with the H1 in it. So that's like, what was the main reason it was cut? Was it like licensing issues, or was it the fact that Hummer didn't want their car in a street racing game?
It's more like a 50-50 if they still appear in the mobile version.
Yeah, I know, because I literally still have those pictures somewhere saved. Where you have the completely different stuff. Because I think Most Wanted 2012, the mobile version, is more of a Most Wanted than the actual console version.
And that's the closest that they can get to what Criterion attempted to do.
Yeah, which is why I'm like really disappointed. The Code Monkeys or whatever they are for the mobile games, they did a much better job with the mobile version of Most Wanted than the Criterion did with the console version. Because at least you have actual money in the mobile version, and you get the M3 GTR without having to pay for a DLC or something.
No, that's cool.
Yeah,
oh yeah, speaking of, the M3 was cut in NFS World as far as I can remember until now.
The nowadays case, because itself and reintroduced the card itself. If they would
the 3 wasn't the only thing cut early, and Most Wanted 2012 just to be brought back for more money.
I meant by NFS World.
Well, in Most Wanted, they cut out the airport too, and then the EA, being the greedy sons of whoever they are, chose to bring it back as a DLC just so they could make some profit off of it, along with 4 cars that I've never driven. But
imagine cutting off an airport just to bring it back to not only pay to be able to access the airport, and then also pay extra more money for a damn plane ticket. Damn, greedy ass motherfuckers.
Yeah, DLC we have like a drop night, smash those billboards.
Gotta pay double money just to freaking go to Rockport. Damn.
Well, here's the thing: if you have the NSC Venom, which you have to pay money for again, you can just fly your way there by doing like 260 off the ramp.
I gotta give them the benefit that they're geniuses. They had to put the Venom behind a paywall, and that's the fastest vehicle in the entire game.
That's the only time I would support the DLC. If you know that this car is going to be like insanely fast, you might as well just put it behind a paywall, because you're gonna understand people are gonna use it all the time.
But then the whole airport, bruh.
Yeah, the airport bit I don't understand. Neither do I understand the the Heroes one. Why couldn't you just have that as like 2 of the cars be free, like how the DB11 Roadster or whatever it was free in Heat's black market update? Why couldn't you make like 2 of the hero cars free like that? Like say the 350Z and the Diablo. Why couldn't those be free?
Back then
like
they had more lenience and they can do whatever they want with microtransactions, and not many people complained about it.
Yeah.
That's the best practice they have done. They've done better, they've done worse, but that's probably mediocre.
But on the bright side, at least everything will be free once they remaster the game, which logically that's the next game that's gonna get remastered.
Which I won't be able to play.
Well.
So at least we won't be able to complain about the DLC being behind a paywall nowadays, since that game's getting remastered.
Should we move on to the story?
Sure.
Yeah, I want to know, and I want to be intrigued more as to what could have been if I made an everything wrong with video on an actual one.
Okay. So I have a video from one of the builds which people claim is probably the last build before it started to take its notes to Burnout Fairhaven, if you mind if I find it. This will just take me a minute, but I'll keep talking. Essentially what happens is you start the game in an E92, please. At chase, I noticed something, police chase music. And I actually have the links to the cut music as well, which is shown on.
All right, let me say this from my memory. What I remember about the beginning. We start off in an E92. It's raining. The player's thinking about what he has done for the past 7 years as a criminal.
That's like
all because of Darius, man. All because of Darius, we got to that point.
Yeah, but that's like the first ever, probably beta that they had ever, or like the dev console they had ever made. If you don't mind, I'm going to share you a video of what a lot of people claim is the final actual most wanted 2012 before it became Burnout Fairhaven.
Shared on Games and Media.
Oh, well, I already DM'd, I'm going to put it in there then. Yeah, but that's kind of interesting. Yeah, first 2 minutes are just loading screens, and then it's actual chase and gameplay, with a bunch of cutout stuff as well. Another thing, you have actually extra roads, supposedly, in the, in the beta version that aren't fully complete, but you still have that map showing the extra roads. One thing I'm wondering is it possible that some of these roads could also have led to, like, a secret place or something like a shop or like an abandoned car like you get in Payback or something? Because I think abandoned cars would have been pretty good for a game that takes place in a, unknown city at the time where you're playing as a wanted fugitive. You need to get a car any way possible.
That would have been likely possible, but then, yeah, instead they had to flip that idea. Instead of actually using the speed points into its use as currency to what we have in just finding cars.
Yeah, I mean, at least Ghost used speed points and rivals in a way where you actually had to spend them, but Criterion for Most Wanted was just like, no, you're just gonna keep getting this, and like rep. Like, I understand, if you're going to use that as rep, just call it rep instead of speed points, because the term points makes you think, oh, I'm gonna waste it on something.
Nah, you were earning points for 50 million not to spend it on anything. Just imagine, go on the street. You just completed the very first race against that Aston Martin with the 911. Then you go around, all of a sudden you find a 4GT.
My internet's cutting out.
Cabriolet, are you there?
My internet.
Cabriolet, you there?
My internet's cutting out a bit.
Oh, I thought it was my stream. I'm like, no, not again.
Yeah, my internet's cutting out because my brother's using it all downstairs. Anyways, yeah, continuing on with what I have, continuing on with that story, you all have seen the, what was it called? The, mission where supposedly Mia is back.
Kindly putting a LoJack under my card so the guy that keeps calling my phone is gonna mess around with me with the police because he feels like it. What a dick.
Yeah. But I mean, probably the reason was because he wanted to make sure you were the actual, Rockport fugitive. You actually know what to do to get away from them. That's probably why it was done like that. Because, hey, how many people have came to, Fairhaven supposedly and claimed, oh, I'm the Rockport fugitive, and then, haven't done what was supposedly said of the Rockport fugitive.
Don't I even have faces of the player as most wanted posters? Why the hell did people want to claim that they are?
I don't even know. It's just like a random possibility that I just thought of just now. That's probably why he chose to do it. Like, that guy's probably the one that's like, oh, you want to prove you're somebody? Here, try this.
Like cross-sending the player to the big house and taking mugshots wasn't enough to provide evidence that the player that we were supposed to play as is the most wanted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. If I remember correctly, looking at, Hold on, I got a cough. Okay, so, if you remember in Carbon, how in the beginning you get, like, a slight look at the character, like both in the ending cutscene and in the beginning when he looks in the mirror. Looking at Hot Pursuit, for some reason my brain keeps thinking he looks awfully familiar to the one I saw in Carbon, just with different clothes and sunglasses. And then they used the same Hot Pursuit placeover in the betas in Most Wanted, which is my guess of like, for some reason they make the Hot Pursuit player models look like that, like exactly like the Carbon character, and then put it into Most Wanted as like a oh look, you actually did this in Hot Pursuit or something, or you had to then drive out. I know it's placeovers probably because Most Wanted 2012 actually started out as a modded version of Hot Pursuit, but I don't really know.
And then think of it. If it was gonna be titled Most Wanted 2 and Carbon was the sequel, would it still be taking place 7 years after that storyline, or would it just be an alternative timeline?
I actually haven't thought about that much. My best guess is probably after Carbon, something probably happened like literally right after, or either that or what is it? He lost. I know this is a far-fetched thing, but what if what happened was Carbon was the 2006 cars. Every single car there was old from like 2006 compared to most 112 cars. They're all old. What I know this is like a far-fetched story or something, but what if what happened was you were on the run for supposedly those 7 years? You did something in Fairhaven. You got your car back. Like you had lost your E46 somehow because you probably had to ditch it or something, and then you had to do everything in Fairhaven to get it back again. And then you chose to go down to what is it? Carbon or whatever it was called again. I know that's like very far-fetched, but for some reason I think that's what happened.
And
If they're going on to
if it was, I
if
would have
they're-
questioned, bro, how many times are we gonna keep losing this damn M3?
if that's the case, you might as just well stick with something else. That M3's got like a very bad curse.
Right. Have you checked on the time to see if currently on our limit or still got some more stuff to throw at us?
I have like
Perfect fellow though, but sure.
yeah, I know. I have like two more things I want to mention: cut weapons and cut cars.
Go ahead.
Cut weapons. They were actually supposed to be weapons that you were supposed to use against the police.
It's basically Pursuit Tech, just like what we had in Hot Pursuit 2010. Just well,
Yeah, except you have the availability and options of rivals where there's multiple of them instead of just 4. And then cut cars. I remember I saw a blueprint of a 2006 WRX STI instead of the Cosworth one. My guess of it being moved is because they were probably thinking, it's too old. But as a counterclaim, they literally have the Lancia Delta or Integrale or whatever it was called.
hell, even Ford GT was considered rolling. That's the only car
Yeah,
that made
that
an
thing-
appearance in both Most Wanted.
Yeah. Well, you could kind of... Yeah, well, I know a lot of people are going to... Well, I know a few people that I've actually chatted with would argue, like, oh, the M3 was in both games. Yeah, well, one of them was in E46, the other was in E92, so that doesn't count. But yeah, the GT was in both games, and then they didn't choose to include a 2006 WRX STI, yet they included the, what is it? The Challenger, which already had its concept back in, like, 2006.
But we don't consider it because that was just a concept, not the production.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's kind of like the Le Mans Quattro and ERA. They don't count with each other. One was a concept, the other's an actual thing, production.
Yeah.
The same term be applied for race cars? Fully fleshed out like race track only.
Fully fledged race ones, I don't think there's any other one other than the brought back DLC 46, but other than those, I don't think there's any full-fledged track ones. Yeah, at least not.
We gotta like just hit the time limit, or we passed it, or
Yeah, we're just gonna end the stream right here, actually. So hey, leave a like if you enjoyed the stream. Comment down what you thought of it. Subscribe if you're new. Check out my other content. Go to my Discord server if you feel one to go there to not just only hang out with us, but also be part of the Nets podcast. And see you all in the Nets podcast or whatever else I'll be cooking up for the uploads.
Thursdays and Sundays at 3 p.m. EST. Remember.
And sometimes on Tuesdays, but we might reconsider those days. And always remember, it might be Sundays and Tuesdays, but I can never keep promises. So, if there's something going on, I'll let you know in advance.
Alright, looking at it.
So, anyways, I'm